Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into a really mesmerizing cinematic world. It's the beautifully animated Chinese fantasy romance, White Snake, the one from 2019. We'll be looking at it through excerpts from White Snake, a timeless tale of forbidden love.
Sounds great.
Yeah, our mission today really is to get past just the amazing animation, and figure out why this modern take on a classic Chinese folktale hits so hard.
Right.
I mean, it's got ancient magic, forbidden love, checks all those boxes. But the real hook, I think, is how it asks these deep questions about identity, especially when, fate and even your own memory seem stacked against you.
And just to give you a bit of context, the film itself is a fantasy romance drama. It's from Light Chaser Animation.
Right.
Runs about 99 minutes, originally Mandarin. And it's actually a prequel, which is interesting. It comes before Green Snake from 2021.
Oh, okay.
And then there's White Snake 2, the tribulation of the Green Snake after that. So yeah, you're stepping into quite a rich, interconnected world here.
Okay, so starting there. With the source material, how does White Snake take the legends of the White Snake, one of China's big stories, and reinterpret it? What's the basic setup?
That's a key point because it really sets the stage emotionally. So the story kicks off with Blanca. She's this powerful white snake demon, and she's on this critical mission. She needs to assassinate a really tyrannical general.
Okay.
This guy's bad news, using dark magic, exploiting demons, the whole deal. But the mission goes wrong. She fails, and in the process, she loses her memory. Completely lost.
Wow. Okay, and that's where Ah Xuan comes in, the human character. What happens when he finds Blanca, who's essentially powerless and has no idea who she is? How does that start things off?
Yeah, that's really the absolute core of the thing. Ah Xuan, who's just this genuinely kind-hearted guy, rescues her.
Right.
And as they travel together, trying to figure out who Blanca is, well, they inevitably fall deeply in love. But the central conflict, it emerges pretty fast. Blanca's true nature being a snake demon. That's a huge problem.
Because humans hate demons in this world.
Exactly. There's this deep-seated fear and hatred, plus an ongoing conflict between humans and demons. So their love is immediately up against this almost impossible wall.
So it's not just a romance, it's a test.
It becomes this incredible test, of loyalty, definitely sacrifice, and ultimately it forces this kind of profound transformation on both of them as these huge forces, society, destiny, start closing in.
And the characters driving this, they sound really compelling. Let's break them down a bit. First, Blanca the White Snake by Susan.
Right.
She starts off graceful, powerful, wise. But then the memory loss hits. How does that change her?
It makes her incredibly vulnerable, actually. It sort of strips away that ancient power and composure and forces her to confront, basic human emotions and figure out who she is without her past. It's a fascinating journey for her.
And Ah Xuan, you said he's simple, kind-hearted.
Yeah, but simple in the best way. He's incredibly loyal, surprisingly brave. His compassion is really key. He makes this active choice to stand by Blanca, even when he finds out what she is and how dangerous it is.
That takes guts.
It really does. And then you have Verta, the green snake, Xiao King, Blanca's younger sister.
Okay, what's her role?
She's also a snake spirit, but she's kind of the opposite of Blanca in temperament. Fiery, impulsive, very strong-willed, but fiercely loyal to Blanca, almost. Possessively loyal sometimes. She acts as her protector, but she's also not afraid to, criticize her or challenge her. Adds a great dynamic.
Like a sibling relationship, basically.
Exactly. And finally, the villain, the general. You mentioned he uses dark sorcery.
Yeah, he's the main antagonist. He's not just generically evil.
Yeah.
He really embodies that unchecked human greed and cruelty.
Yeah.
Exploiting demons for power. Right. It ties into the bigger theme pretty directly.
Right. Represents prejudice too.
But okay, moving beyond the plot, which is obviously engaging, the film really shines when you start digging into the themes, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly rich thematically. The first big one, you kind of can't miss it, is love beyond boundaries.
The human spirit romance.
Yeah, but it's more than just that. It's a symbol for any kind of forbidden or seemingly impossible love, right? Challenged by culture, identity, fate itself.
It makes you think about acceptance.
Totally. It pushes this idea of radical acceptance. In a world built on prejudice, how far do you go? How much do you sacrifice for a love that fundamentally challenges, well, everything? It's really touching, but also kind of defiant.
And you mentioned Blanca's identity and memory loss. That feels central, too.
It really is. It's not just a plot point. It's a really clever way to bring the audience in. We discover her world and her own nature right alongside her.
We learn as she learns.
Exactly. And it raises these big questions. Who am I without my past? Or maybe even what makes love real if your whole identity is uncertain? Makes you think about what actually defines us.
That's deep. And then zooming out a bit, the human versus spirit conflict. You touched on this with the general.
Yeah, and it's fascinating how relevant it feels. Humans fearing and exploiting what they don't understand. It directly mirrors real-world stuff, doesn't it? Prejudice, obviously, but also maybe environmental destruction, colonialism, the exploitation of the other.
So this ancient story feels modern.
In its themes, absolutely. It holds up a mirror to contemporary issues through this fantastical lens. It really makes you ask, who are the real monsters here?
Good question. And running through all of this is sacrifice and destiny.
Yeah, the choices Blanca and Ah Xuan make, they have huge consequences. They're constantly facing these heart-wrenching decisions that test not just their love, but their very existence and the paths seemingly laid out for them.
So love isn't just a feeling, it's action.
Precisely. It's shown as this profound commitment that demands sacrifice, demands they maybe give up parts of themselves or challenge what seems like a fixed destiny. It's about reshaping what's possible through love and choice.
Wow. Okay, shifting gears slightly, but still related. The visuals. You mentioned the animation earlier. It sounds like it's more than just background eye candy.
Oh, absolutely. You could almost say the animation itself is a character in this film. It's this really unique blend, isn't it? Traditional Chinese aesthetics mixed with really advanced 3D animation. The landscapes are just gorgeous. The fight scenes are incredibly dynamic. All the magical elements look fantastic. It creates this feeling of like a living painting.
A living painting, I like that.
Yeah, there's this graceful motion, these really lush details. It just pulls you right into the world. It's incredibly immersive.
And that visual style clearly connects to its cultural and mythological roots.
Definitely. I mean, White Snake comes from one of China's 4 great folk tales. The story is huge, told for centuries in opera, literature, film, you name it.
So this film is carrying on that tradition.
It is. But what's brilliant is how it reinterprets it. It takes the core legend, but injects it with this modern emotional depth and moral complexity. It feels like both a tribute and a real reinvention. It respects the source, but makes it resonate for today.
That's quite an achievement. So, okay, bringing it back to the listener.
Yeah.
Why should someone check this out? Who is this film for?
Well, I'd say if you're a fan of films like maybe Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke.
Oh yeah, Studio Ghibli vibes.
Kind of, yeah. Or even The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. If you like that mix of romance, magic, serious themes, stunning visuals, this film really delivers on that front. You'll likely appreciate it a lot.
Okay.
And beyond just fantasy fans, I think it's actually a fantastic introduction to Chinese mythology for people who might not be familiar with it.
Makes it accessible.
Very accessible, yeah, and incredibly engaging emotionally. It doesn't feel like homework,
Right. So ultimately that combination, the powerful story, the emotional core, plus those just jaw-dropping visuals, it makes for a really rewarding watch.
Completely agree. It's unforgettable, I think. And maybe this raises kind of a final thought. Whitesnake isn't just, another fantasy movie. At its heart, it feels like a story about choosing love over fear, choosing your own identity over what's expected of you, choosing courage when faced with, well, seemingly inescapable fate. It really balances the action and the emotion beautifully. And those visuals, they definitely stick with you.
So maybe a final thought for you listening. Consider how these ancient myths, stories told for centuries, when they get reinterpreted like this through modern animation, how they still offer these really profound insights.
Yeah, into universal experiences.
Exactly. Human or, well, spirit experiences too, right? Like sacrifice, prejudice, and maybe most of all, the power of love to just smash through boundaries.
Yeah.
What timeless truths do stories like Whitesnake reveal about our own world even now? Especially when we're still grappling with so many similar questions about acceptance, about belonging, about who gets to define who we are. Something to think about.